Have you ever watched someone go through real ups and downs, take some hard hits, and have moments where the spotlight got hot, and instead of letting it break them, they choose to rebuild and become somebody new? That's exactly what this episode is going to be all about. And today, I have the honor of sitting down with Dave Herrera, the owner and executive chef at Los Bandoleros Tacos in East Brunswick, New Jersey. It's a modern Mexican spot with a barbecue twist and a mentality behind it that says a lot about who Dave is now and what he brings to the community. Live free, eat tacos. But this conversation is not just about tacos or opening a restaurant. It's about what does it really take to bet on yourself when the path isn't clean, when you've had to learn some lessons the hard way, and when you're determined to build something that gives back to the community you came from. And real quick, if you enjoy these stories and you want more conversations just like this that give you the courage to act, the resilience to keep going, and the discipline when motivation fades, please be sure to subscribe, like this video, and share it with somebody who needs to hear it. And with that being said, it's my honor to welcome my dear friend, Dave Herrera.
What's up, Ron? How we doing, buddy?
I'm good, brother. I'm happy to finally have you on Great American Underdog, man. It's been a long time coming.
Long time coming. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and listen, for as long as I've known you, you've had such an incredible journey, a story of ups and downs, and it's definitely a story that people need to hear because for those out there that are dealing with their own obstacles and challenges, to me, you're somebody that embodies resilience and just the courage and the discipline to keep going no matter how hard it got at different times. So, just to get started, like for somebody meeting you the first time, let's just say today, who are you today and what are you most proud of in your own life that I guess people don't see?
Well, if you gave me a beautiful intro, but if you just met me and you didn't know, you would obviously know that I am the owner and executive chef at Los Bandoleros Tacos. And I think what I'm most proud of that the people don't see is the little things that I do today behind the curtain. There's a lot of stuff that obviously we all show people. People could see your business or what car you drive or, the fresh haircuts and all that stuff. But I think it's the little things like helping the people that help you, right? And making sure that they're whole and that they're good. And it's just I feel like from where I came from, it's a very stark difference. So I think that's something I'm most proud of. And I don't talk about it, right? Like I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday about because he came to me, he's like, Dave, you've grown your business. Like I'm trying to do something with like my landscaping business. Like I don't know what to do. And I was like, you know what you need to do? Those videos where like the guy shows up at like oh, somebody's trying to come in. People always try to come in early. We open at 4 o'clock, but
You're a little early.
you're early. But like the video where the guy will go up to like this house with the overgrown lawn and it looks terrible. I'm sure you've seen that video. It's like,
That's
hey,
demoing.
can we just clean it up for you? Like no charge. And I was like, I hate cutting the lawn, but I watched that video because I'm like, something so satisfying about that. And I'm like, but there's also those people that are like, hey, do you have $1 to buy this like thing for my daughter? And then like, I love that one guy, Zach. I forget his name, Zach something. I watch his videos all the time, and he'll help people and change their lives. And like, but there is a thin line between like, are you doing it to bring awareness, or are you doing it for like that social media cloud of like, look what I do? So I don't do that anymore. I think there was a time I might have. But now I do things because they're like the right thing to do, and I don't need the accolades or the pats on the back because like I helped somebody. But those are the things I'm probably more proud of today.
Yeah, it's the times that nobody sees where you're helping somebody out, and also just from a leadership standpoint, the people that work with you and for you, actually being there for them on the day to day. Social media, and you know this as well as I do. It's a showcase of everything that you want people to know about you and how great you are without all the other things because you can audit what goes on your profile. But ultimately, a lot of people don't know how to show the raw side of what happens on the day to day and the ins and outs. Like that's really where the difference is made. But I also do say that, from a social media standpoint, it's good to share how you give back and do things. And I think you're great at that, Dave. You've done a lot in the community. We're going to touch on that, of course, as well, and what you do now with Los Bandoleros as well. So, there's nothing wrong with showcasing that as long as it's coming, like you said, from a genuine, authentic place.
Yeah, for sure.
And, just touching on growing up, like, again, we know each other for some time, but talk to me a little bit about life for you growing up. What did it teach you essentially about surviving, thriving, and figuring things out along the way.
I mean, look, I don't think I ever really like I didn't have one of those rough upbringings where, some people are like, oh, I shared a mattress with my three siblings. Like I didn't have that. I really do think I struggled at a young age to find like me, find where I fit in, find who I was. I struggled with that from probably elementary school, where I was always like, the word we use today is I was a chameleon, right? So like I could hang out with somebody like you and we could be friends. And then I'd go hang out with somebody that completely different, like an hour later. But the difference was I wasn't me when I hung out with you and when I hung out with them. I was who I thought they wanted me to be, who I needed to be to survive. And I've learned today that it is a survival skill, because we do have fears of judgment or we do have fears of doing that. And that comes with my own, upbringing and my own traumas and things that I've experienced. But I struggled in everything from finding my social circle to finding what I like to do. I wasn't a very good student, right? Like in school, I was a smart kid. I did really well on my tests and the HEPA and the SATs and all that stuff. I did really well on. I could not focus. I could not sit at a desk for 45 minutes at a time and listen to someone regurgitate information at me. I can't retain that way. And then I got out of school and I went into the workforce and, I bounced around. I was what you would call a chronic job hopper. I am a great interviewer. I give a great interview, make you think that you just found this diamond in the rough of an employee and we're going to give them a shot. And after a couple of weeks, once I realized it's not really something that I enjoy, I just enjoy money. I would lose it. And I always go back to this story. I was just talking about it a couple of weeks ago. I did a show with this local place, and I said I remember being 17. I had or 16. I had my first job at Target, and I was pushing carts. And I just remember coming home and letting out this like deep sigh. And my mom was like, "What's wrong?" And I said, man, I really just don't think I'm meant to work for other people. I hate this. And she laughed obviously and was like, "You have a very long road ahead of you." And obviously, fast forward to today, my mom said to me a couple of weeks ago, she's like, "Isn't it crazy? Like from where you were to where you are now, like you called it years ago." But I've done everything that honestly, like from sales to marketing to blue collar to white collar. I've done everything from selling high end Shelby GT 500s to picking up dog crap at PetSmart. Like there's no spectrum. It's all over the place. And I always did find home in the restaurant business, in the restaurant industry. I think because of the fact that I know I have ADD and, being at a desk is not for me. That high pace work environment, the forever changing variables, the new people every day, the different, experiences, always meeting somebody new. It was just exciting to me. And as much as like I didn't want to do it because in my mind, right? I think the food service industry gets a very bad rap where people are like, that's not a career. It's a job for high school kids. And like, the truth is that, being a server in America is still one of the only few jobs without a degree or a trade that you can make a living. Like you can make it like an actual living and feed your family. It's not a minimum wage job. People make very good money doing it. That's why, you go to a diner and you see the 70-year-old lady still waiting on tables. Like, she's making her bread. She's living her best life, and she's probably been doing it since she was 17. But yeah, the further I feel like because I feel like I was like, all right, I would do, I would be a cook or I would be, a server. And I was like, I don't want to do this. And then I would try to go do something else. And it was like the farther I tried to pull away from the restaurant industry, the harder I would slingshot back. And then it was like, all right, now I'm not a server, I'm the front of house manager. And then I'd leave. And it was like, bam, now you're the kitchen manager. And I'll try to leave. And it's like, now you're a general manager. Now you have a partnership in a business. Now you're there full time. Like, this is what you do. Now you're an executive chef. So I just probably about 5 years ago, just stopped fighting it. I stopped fighting it. And I was like, this is my industry. This is what I love to do. I love to cook. I love to be around people, communicate. Why do I need to do anything else? And again, I don't have a college degree. I didn't go to culinary school or anything. I tried it. I think I did Brookdale for 3 months and I hated it. I said, I didn't like it when it was free. Now I have to pay for it. I'm good. So here we are today, and obviously we'll get into the restaurant, but yeah, I mean, I feel like while I struggled in every area to find what fit, and it wasn't really up until maybe a few years ago that I finally became um whole in myself and being like, okay, I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I know that I am far from perfect, but this is where I fit in. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. This is who I am, and I am comfortable with that. And I love me, right? And we'll talk deeper about like some of the negatives, but the overall, like today, I can look in the mirror and sure, I'm not 100% happy with the decisions that I make or the things that I do, but I do love me today, and I'm happy with me today, and I think that's important for people to find, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot to unpack in what you said, of course, and we're going to, but it's also, you did a lot of things very early on in your life out of survival mechanism more than anything, like you said. And that happens, of course, when you're still trying to find your way and things like that. And you start to learn about yourself as you continue through life. And with your upbringing, I know that you grew up with mom and also I believe your poppy, who you were super close with your whole life, that taught you that was essentially like your father figure growing up. So even though you didn't live in a house with like, three people in one bedroom kind of thing, there were things that you learned early on in your life about work ethic, belief, entrepreneurship, being that your mom's been an entrepreneur for many years as well. And I think that, you at some point realized, like you said, you went and worked at Target and you realize like if I want a different life, I'm gonna have to build it. Otherwise, I'm gonna just be doing something that I essentially hate. Like, when did you like really, I guess, start to realize that there had to be something different in your life? There had to be a change, and you realize it wasn't necessarily your external, but like inside. Was there a defining moment for you, like where you hit a certain point in your life where something had to give?
It's a very like different answer because I think that I've hit those moments for different aspects of my life. If we could talk about like on a personal level, right? Like in 2017, like I hit a low point. Like I had spent my entire teen years and my early 20s up until 26 years old. Like I was using drugs and partying, and it got out of control. No matter how much people would tell me, like, stop. I was like, you don't know, like I'm fine. Um, and in 2017, like I got to a point where like, and I'll touch back on what I said earlier about the reflection. And I tell people all the time, like I hit a rock bottom, and I explain this to people all the time that there's two types of rock bottoms in life. You have to figure out which one you hit. Now, there's physical rock bottoms where like you can get injured or from using drugs for a long time, like feeling run down, your sinuses are messed up, your heart is hurting because it's been beating like 5,000 beats a minute for 6 hours, and you're out of money, and you're homeless. Like, and at one point I was sleeping in my car and doing all these things. Like, those are physical rock bottoms. And I say that because the reality is I don't believe that physical rock bottoms stick for a lot of people, because when you start feeling better, when the money starts coming back in, when you have a place to sleep, when you forget the pain of the physical, like, okay, well, I feel all right. My pulse is good. I'm good. We go back to the old behaviors because it doesn't stay with you. I hit what I believe was my emotional rock bottom, my spiritual rock bottom, where, the list of like, I've never done this, so I can't be that bad, started to get checked off and become smaller and smaller and smaller. Where I was like, oh, I'm not like that guy. Look what he did. That's messed up. I started doing that. I'm not like her. Look what she did. I started doing that. So it became a point where, like I said, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror in the morning without shame, without guilt. I actually couldn't make eye contact with my own reflection because I was no longer proud. I wasn't proud of myself. Like I wasn't proud of who I was becoming. Like I knew that I had this raw talent. I wasn't sure where it was going to go, but I knew that I was meant for more than this. I knew I was meant for more than paying a guy $200 a week to sleep in his living room on the couch. Like I knew that I was meant for more than, interviewing, going through job training, getting a work uniform, and then quitting. Right. I knew that I wanted more. Right. And my options were either I would prayed, and I wasn't religious at the time, but I prayed like, God, just let me go to sleep one night and that be it. Like, let's call it
Right.
a day, let it be over, or I need to change. I need to change. And I said that prayer, I couldn't tell you how many times. And every morning I woke up, right? Every morning I woke up. So I knew God was like, you're not getting out of it this easy. Like you're going to be an example and you're going to struggle, and that's okay. And so in 2017, I went to a meeting and I put my hand up and I said, I need help. I can't live like this anymore. And, I got embraced by strangers who are today family. And I'm proud to say that, next month we'll have 8.5 years clean from all drugs and alcohol. And, I say that because, it is a big part of my story. Cause even in these last 8.5 years, like I have seen some shit, and I know you have seen it and been a part of it with me. But it's important that no matter what I went through, like I knew that I couldn't go back to that. Right.
Yeah.
So that was a change for me physically. About 2 years ago, life got hard again. Life got hard again. Like I had a run in, I had a business I was working it went south. Bunch of shit happened. Long story short, like it, but for the viewers, long story short, I made enemies with the wrong people, and I got swatted, and I had police at my house, and I got hit with all these phony baloney accusations and charges, and I lost the job at this place I was working at because if you Googled my name, it was crazy, and who the hell wants a guy like that working for them? So I became jobless, right? I was an executive chef and a restaurant partner for 4 years. I couldn't get a job at Friendly's, you know? Um, so I had to rebuild, and I had to get humble. And for me, I prayed again, but an actual prayer, not of whoever's up there to take my life, but to show me a path forward. I'm trying to do the right thing. I know I fail, but I want to grow. And I asked God if he was up there, and he didn't owe me anything, but if God was up there and he was real, to show me that he's in my life. And if he did, right, that I would turn my life over to God, and I would try to be a better man. And back to back to back to back to back, so many things that I could not put into words or explain to you happened. And I was just like, I remember even now, like I get goosebumps like when I talk about it, because it was real. Right. And whether people want to believe that, I'm not here to push religion on anybody, but for me, God showed himself to me and showed that he believed in me and that he was with me. And I turned my life over and I got baptized. Right. So for me, that was my spiritual awakening, and my spiritual growth. As far as the financials, right, while I was dealing with the no job, while I was turning my life over to God, while I was staying clean, like I told you, I couldn't get work. I started doing meal preps out of my house, right? Kind of like the guy Jamie and Eat Clean Bro. Like he started cooking in his house, because I couldn't get a job. And I remember just being like, I got to do something, you know. Started doing meal prepping, started doing like these taco pop-ups in my house, which I'm pretty sure you've came to one of them, and they were such ginormous hits. The pop-ups would sell out. The meal prep went from, I remember giving somebody a couple free meals to them buying 10 or 15 a week, to fast forward 6 months later, I'm doing 250 meals out of my mom's kitchen.
Right.
And, you know, the townhouse that I live in with her now has 2 extra refrigerators, and the dining room is now a giant prep table with wire rack shelves and ginormous pots like this big and 50-pound bags of rice. Like it was a full-on operation. And my mom was like, I love you, but you got to get the hell out of here. Like, I'm tired of living in your prep kitchen. I was like, okay, fair. And, she's like, hey, look, there's this place in East Brunswick. Why don't we go take a look at it? And obviously, to commit to a space for just meal prepping. Like, and look, I love meal prepping. I think it's great. I'm back on eating it again. But look, even the guy that ran the business of meal prep, it gets tiresome and we fall off. So to base your income or your business on that, you either have to have a ginormous law of averages where you have a customer base of thousands. So if you lose 20% one week and they come back next week, you're still making money. If you have, 20 clients and 30% of them decide not to do it, it's huge fluctuation.
Yeah.
I was like, look, I'm down to do the meal prep, but I really would love to go back to what I was doing at that other business and open a little restaurant and have a little sit down spot where we make just banging homemade food, and we don't cut corners. We don't cut quality. We can keep it small this way. You know what? My overhead's not crazy. I could spend more money on quality ingredients. I could spend more on getting good staff. And again, I prayed to God because I had, at this point, I was running a meal prep business, maybe making $1,000 a week. I didn't have money to finance a restaurant build. Um, I prayed and I said, God, if you think I can handle this, show me a way, and I'll make it work. Whatever it is, I will make it work. And again, long story short, I reached out to someone and said, hey, look, I'm looking to do a business. I'm going to build this place out. I'm looking for a loan. I'm not looking for a partner. I'm looking for an investor. I'm the X number of dollars. I will pay you back those X number of dollars plus this much money, and I will give you a 20%, like whatever the stipulations were. We made it. I shot it out there. He's like, when do you want the money? I was like, are you for real? And he went to the bank the next day. He wire transferred me 50 grand, and we were off and running. And I know that people are like, he opened a restaurant for 50 grand. No, but it was a starting point. And and it also taught me a lot because this, like, it's beautiful in here, right? I can give you the pan. I'll give you the whole pan around of what we got going.
It is beautiful.
When I started reaching out to people and saying like, look, I'm looking to do this. I want to paint even just painting the ceiling, or I want to, do the floor, do this. Like the prices that people came out with were insanity. Like, I need to paint the ceiling just black. There was nothing in here, no walls. Everything was bare. Like, I just want to paint the ceiling black. Like, yeah, it's 3,500 plus paint. I'm like, to paint drop ceiling? Like, yeah. And that's literally what and I think it kind of like the building of the restaurant kind of became almost like the story of my life, where it was like, people say you can't do it, and you're like, I bet you I can. And it's sort of like this, the first step is always the hardest, right? The first step, contacting the landlord, that was hard. Then finding the money, that was hard. And then getting the money. And now you start to feel a little bit of that swagger and that confidence of like, maybe I can make this happen. Maybe I can make this work. And it was like, you know what? I want to do the floor. Oh yeah, it's $5,000. I think I could do that. So went to Home Depot, rented the tile chipper, hit up my buddy, said, you want to make a couple $100 today? I got a dumpster out back and a wheelbarrow. I just need you to shovel, and I'll pay you $200. Come here for a couple hours. All right, cool. Stick. Got the floor done. And I'm like, what else can I do? Right? Call the same thing. I'm going to paint the ceiling. Hey, I need to build this wall here. Yeah, that's this much. I think I could do that myself. And I just opened up a Home Depot credit card, and I went there, and I will shout out the Home Depot in Milltown, because those guys, by the end of my run, they were calling me the taco guy every time I walked in. And they go, yo, taco guy, what you building today? And I'm like, I'm working on the plumbing, or I'm putting in a new toilet, or I'm putting in fixtures. I'm doing this. And like, I went, I bought myself like a Milwaukee toolkit with like 10 different power tools. And me and that Milwaukee toolkit built this whole restaurant, piece by piece. And that's why, like, I have a deeper love for this place than just a normal restaurant, because I wish, don't get me wrong, I think there's part of me, like I say that, like, I wish I had a checkbook where I could have just contacted a guy and be like, this is what I'm looking to do. Go build it. I'll see you in 3 months. But I think the fact that I came in here every day, these windows were boarded up with paper, and I had my music, and I had my energy drink, and I had my vape, and I came in here every day, like work. And I built this place piece by piece. The tables, the floor, the walls behind me, everything that you see, outside of installing the gas line and hanging the chandeliers, because I didn't want that on me. I did, right? I put in all the equipment. We painted everything. We resurfaced everything. The design. And I've shown you pictures of what this place looked like before.
We came in a few times while you were building.
It was horrible in here. And you were here for my friends and family night, so you saw like it come to fruition. So I am grateful. But that was when that was the financial change. So you've gotten my physical, you've gotten my spiritual, and now you've gotten my work related. But I knew that I was going to have to do this. But the business happened all because God put a roadblock in my life that in the moment I couldn't understand. And right before we started recording, I was telling you about another roadblock in my life.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, has nothing to do with the podcast. But in life, there will be dead ends. There will be, you're going to have to make a U-turn. Sometimes you have to double back. Sometimes you don't see a path forward. And that's a great thing. Feeling stuck is a beautiful thing because it means I have now outgrown this space that I am in. And now I have to make a leap. I have to make a jump. Right. So like here I was, with a pending felony charge, with no job, with no hope, trying to hold on to my recovery and sobriety, trying to hold on to the little bit of finances that I had just to keep bills coming from, collecting. And when your back is against the wall and you feel hopeless and you're like, my life is ruined. I'm 32 years old and I'm this. God was like, hold up. I've got something really cool. You're like, and I say this as a joke. I'm like, imagine if in that moment, if God approached me before all that bad stuff happened, was like, yo, Dave, all right, hear me out. I've got a really cool plan. You're not going to like it in the beginning. I don't know if I would have taken his deal if he's like, hear me out. You're going to get raided by the government, like the sheriff's office. You're going to get embarrassed. Your name is going to be tarnished. You're going to lose your job. For the next year and a half, you're going to pay lawyer fees and have to go to court and not be able to walk out in public because people are going to think you're like this crazy person. And all of these things are going to happen to you. But in like 2 years, like I'm going to put you in this place where like you're going to build your own business and you're going to be able to work for yourself. And like you're going to be financially independent. You're going to have the people that like everybody that works here and are people that I've worked with over the course of my restaurant career. So yeah, we've been open under a year, but I've worked with these people for years.
Right.
You're going to get all this, Dave, but like it's going to get real rough for 2 years. You in or you out? Like you ever seen that the movie with The Rock and Kevin Hart?
With me? Without me? With me?
You with me? No, I'm out. No. How could you be out? You're in. Like that's like I felt like God was having that moment. I was Kevin Hart, and I'm like, I'm not in. But it brings me to another philosophy that I have now, and I think a lot of people need to look at it, is that it's so hard to see the picture when you are in the frame.
Huh.
Like when you zoom out and you come and you look at it now, when I look at my life now, 500 feet up, and I could see the path, and you're like, whoa, okay. And you know what I do believe in? I know I've heard you talk about it, and I know a lot of this is about underdog stories and like the road to success and all that. People think the road to success is linear. Like it's just this like, all right, I start here and I make like the road to success is like this.
Or sometimes like this, bro.
It's all over, right? Like I had a business at one point. I was unemployed and I did this and then this happened. And you just have to like continue. And I know you're a boxer. And I love that one quote from the later Rocky movie where it's like, it's not how hard you could take a hit or how you could punch. It's how hard, it's like, can you get up after taking those hits and keep
take a hit and keep moving forward?
Right. Can you keep moving? Because honestly, sometimes getting punched in the mouth will stop you dead in your track. Mike Tyson said it. Everybody got a game plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
What's your game plan? Like, do you have a game plan post being punched in the mouth?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like my life has always been, okay, I just got punched in the mouth. What do I do now?
Right. And I feel like a lot of what you just explained, Dave, like, first of all, asking for help, like the community piece of it. I think a lot of people, they don't know how to ask for help. And they're like, well, if I ask for help, that makes me weak. And we let our egos a lot of time get in the way of asking for help. And it's just something that we stop ourselves from because we're like, well, especially people that are more driven, me, you, and other entrepreneurs out there and people, athletes, etc. They're like, well, I got to figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'm going to do it this way. I'll just find my own road. But really, like, nobody gets anywhere far in life without help. And you have to be willing to ask for that help. And you have to be willing to be vulnerable and honest about where the heck you are in your life. And a lot of times that's the roadblock that stops people from reaching a level in their life that they would have reached if they didn't let that stop them. But they say, you know what, like that's going to be too much. I'm going to be asking too much of people. I'm going to be a nuisance to them. They're not really going to want to help me. And you'd be so freaking shocked that once you open up and you get real and you get raw with people, they're like, yeah, no problem. It's like you create this invisible barrier in your brain that says like, well, what if it doesn't work? And instead you flipped your mindset to being like, what if
Mhm.
it does? And sometimes, if you got, like you said, God could have came to me before and I don't know if I would have bought that deal. But you also had a certain level of blind faith of saying like, if it's going to work out, it's going to work out, or else I wouldn't be waking up every morning, and
And you know what
continue.
though? But blind faith sometimes isn't enough. Like, like people, and here's the misconception. Like people go like, look, I pray to God every day and I ask him for this. Like, you still have to do the work,
That's
right?
right.
And you also have to pay attention to the signs. Like, there's a story of a person that was caught in a flood zone and they were sitting on the roof of their house, right? And they were praying to God, God help me. And guy pulled up on a raft and was like, get in. It's like, don't worry, I'm praying to God, he's got me, right? Then somebody pulled up on a boat, like, get in. They're like, I've been praying to God, he's gonna send help. And then somebody pulled up on a helicopter, was like, hey, hurry up. And he was like, God's gonna save me. And moral story is the person drowned. And when he got to heaven, he asked God, he's like, God, I prayed to you. I asked you for help. He goes, I sent you a boat. I sent you a raft. I sent you a helicopter. Like, are you paying attention? Like, God answers us a lot of the time. Sometimes we just don't like the answer,
Hmm.
you know?
Well, sometimes those answers, Dave, before to what you said, which was you were getting roadblocked. Sometimes those answers are the roadblock because that roadblock is necessary for either your graduation into another form of your life or
Right.
really an evolution, right? And we think about evolution, evolution can't happen without conflict and contention. There has to be that if you want to reach new levels.
Well,
And most people,
uncomfortability breeds change.
yeah, and
Breeds
that's how
growth.
you, but only if you see that uncomfortability. Some people become the victim of that uncomfortability. Other people step up and decide that uncomfortability is exactly what I need to continue forward. Like it doesn't matter what people are going to think, what people are going to say. I just have to step in, both feet in, and go for it, regardless of my situation and things like that. And like you, I've been in some of those situations myself. I was building a coaching company for 5 years and it just stopped dead in its tracks. And then I was figuring out like, how am I going to make money? What am I going to do next? All these different things. Do I go back to being in automotive? And I said, no. I said, I'm going to continue to bet on myself because everything comes full circle. Even like you just said before, the relationships that you built in the service industry, I bet you in a million years early on in your career, you never thought that some of those relationships were going to come full circle back around to you and you were going to end up partnering and working with these people,
It's
right?
crazy. Like, and Danny who works here.
Mhm.
Like I met Danny 8, 9 years ago when I got a job as a front of house manager at Bar Louie. And I remember like seeing him get hired and like we were never cool. Like he was an employee, I was a manager, like we said what's up. And then we somehow just became friends like through social media, stayed in contact throughout the years. And when I posted that I was opening a business, he was the first person to reach, the literal first person. Danny was my first employee. And he was like, dude, he's like, I've been watching you over the last 8 years. He's like, between trying music, between trying politics, between getting clean, between running another business, like anything you have put your mind to, you have done. You've put it all in. He goes, so I don't know, he had a job, he left. He was like, I'm
Yeah.
working here, I'm making good money. He's like, but I'm willing to bet on you because I see what you've done. And that will be rewarded. And that's another like conversation. Like, but all the guys I have with me, nobody here in this building works for me. Nobody. They
Yep.
all work with me. We are a team. And yes, I might be the owner, I might pay the bills, I might, have the keys to the building, but without them, this shit don't go.
Yeah.
So they are just as important, if not more important than I am. And I think that's a mentality I've learned. And again, when we talk about the picture and zooming out, I've had shitty jobs. I mean, look, you've worked in the automotive industry, so like, yeah, you get some cool people out there, but there's some of the nastiest people to work with.
Yep.
Like, you are literally treated like an ant. You are a worker bee. You have zero significance to the guy sitting at the finance desk. Like, you're a loser, right? I've had people that have worked in businesses just because they had assistant manager on their chest, thought that they could talk to you crazy, right? I remember when I lost the job as the executive chef at El Toro, and I got the job working at Tiki Bar, which was cool. I can't complain. I got to look at girls in bikinis and work on the beach all summer. Wasn't horrible. But I remember my boss, the bar manager, being a 22-year-old kid, talking to me about how to stock a bar like I wasn't a fucking bar manager for almost a decade. And I'm just sitting there like, talk about like eating big slices of humble pie. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard. And you sit there. But I learned all the ways I don't want to lead a group of men and women, all the ways that sucked, how those people made me feel throughout the years, how disposable I felt, how insignificant I felt, how I didn't matter, right? Like I could die tomorrow and they would have my Indeed application up before they sent me flowers.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody that ever works with me here to ever feel that way, you know?
And to that point, Dave, it's like also for that reason, because it would just be like a blip to them. It's like, why do we care? Why do people care what other people think? Because at the end of the day, they're not thinking about you like you think they are. And you have to go do what's best for you at the end of the day. And the difference and the impact ultimately that you want to make in your community, the people that you work with, the people that you serve. And another thing is like Chris Saraceno, a friend of mine who's the managing partner of Kelly Automotive Group. He's also the writer of The Theory of Five. And he talks about, show me who your friends are. I'll tell you your future. But he
I
talks
love
about mentors in five key areas of your life. Finance, parenting, kids, your physical fitness, and your spirituality. He also talks about anti-mentors, people that show you what not to do. And you had so much experience of what not to do in terms of how to treat people from the quote unquote leaders. Really, those people were task managers. They were probably high performers in sales or something like that at one point and got promoted, but they were never shown how to effectively lead people. And because of that, you got the opportunity to see what not to do, like you just said, which is why you partner with all the people that work with you and they can feel that. And they also buy into you just as much as they buy into your vision for the restaurant. And
and I don't
last
think
thing,
that and to your point, like I think anybody watching this that has their own business, like this isn't a restaurant only thing. Like surround yourself with people that, you know, honestly, like I would rather take somebody that has the that energy, that desire to learn, and I'd rather take them and mentor them than somebody with a resume that is amazing, right? Like I have a lady here, Michelle, she's only here a day, but she worked with me at the other restaurant. And I remember when I started there as a bartender, she was a busser. She had her own personal things. This was like one of her first jobs in a long time, older woman, got a job working there. And I remember when I became the manager, I just remember, she showed up every day. She had a desire to learn. She always was asking questions like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And when I became the general manager there, I was like, you're going to be my assistant. Like, you're my assistant general manager, and I'm going to show you everything that I know, right? I'm going to show you everything that I know. Same thing like with Danny, with Eric, with these guys that work with me. When I do inventory, when I do payroll, when I do stuff like that, I'm like, look, do you want to see how to do it? Like, because again,
gatekeep.
somebody taught me this, right? I'm not the gatekeeper of information. And if I can elevate you, then you can elevate everybody else around you.
That's right. Dave, it's the law of duplication. You want to be able to, you invest into your people and you duplicate yourself, and they also take at the same time a level of mental ownership because you're pouring into them. Where a lot of people gatekeep that information, thinking like, no, only I can do that, or if I give them this information, that diminishes my role and my value. When in fact, it does the absolute opposite, because you have outside customers, right, and clients, but you also have internal customers and clients. Those people are buying you every single day that they decide to walk into your business to work alongside you. So
Mhm.
you better pour into them, because they're gonna, if you don't pour into them, they'll find somewhere that does and someone who does.
Yep.
You figured that out pretty early on, which is awesome to see, and also what not to do. And you went from surviving to really, I want to say, thriving in ways, because the mental piece of it that you had to go through in order for this to happen, like, you know, I'm curious at this point now, as we start to talk about the restaurant a little bit more, like, what are some of the things that, when those old beliefs pop back up, what are some of the things you tell yourself in order to continue to move forward when it gets a little bit more challenging and you start to hit some different types of obstacles as a business owner and also in life?
I mean, I kind of just say, hey, we've been here before.
Right.
We've been here before. We know the playbook. So, you know what? Um, look, I still think as a whole, the business is doing great. We're in the winter months now. So obviously it's not like it was in spring and summer. You know, you're having your dip. Is it a failure? No, it's an adjustment period. It's a time to learn. It's a time to recalibrate. Look, life gets hard. You can have personal issues. You can have relationship issues. You could have financial issues. At the end of the day, so effing what? It happens. It happens. It's how you respond to those, right? I don't ever judge somebody by how they move when things are great, right? I judge somebody like, how do you move when shit hits the fan, right? What do you do crisis mode, right? Like, I think you have the people that sit back and analyze and go, okay, this is an opportunity for me to learn. Maybe I did this wrong. How do I adjust? And then you have the kind of people that clear out targets full of toilet paper when snow's coming. You know what I mean? There's two schools of thought. It's like, this is an opportunity for me to grow and build, or there's an opportunity to panic and follow the masses and do what everybody tells me I should do. You know how many people, but when I signed my lease, and I kept it pretty to the chest, like people like you knew and close. But when it came out, people were like, you're opening a place in this plaza. Nobody goes to that plaza. That plaza sucks. And now you know how many people go, this plaza's popping. This is great. My landlord loves me because you know what? When he re-signs the 2 leases that are up here, he's going to be able to ask top dollar. He's not going to have to give out 8 months of free rent like he did for me because nobody was signing up in here. Like, this is a busy plaza. You better get open and make your money, you know? So again, it goes to like betting on yourself, trusting the process, understanding that not every day is going to be a victory. There was plenty of days I came in here for 8 hours to do work on this restaurant, and I felt like they were losses. I hated it. I didn't accomplish nothing other than maybe bang my finger with a hammer or cut myself or break something or mess up a project and have to restart tomorrow. There was plenty of frustration and tears and foul language, right? There was plenty of that. But it's all part of the process. You have to embrace your process. You have to grow through what you go through.
And it also goes back to what you said about like God and just like putting roadblocks in your way on purpose. Because a lot of times, like, what are you willing to do when you're not getting the return, right? Like you were going into the restaurant every day to build it, and there was no money essentially coming in yet. Like you have to be willing to do that first in order to get the return. You have to make the investments. And so many people, like you just said, those two schools of thought, there are people that say, no, I can't do that, instead of saying, how do I do that? Right. Like, so being problem focused or solution oriented, which person are you? And a lot of people, they have to have something inside of them that shifts that in their brain, or they never, just get to a place of complacency and comfortability. And you're just like, I'm not built that way. I'm going to keep pushing forward until I find out what I need to find out, connect with
Mhm.
the people that I need to connect with, and continue to build my vision and my dream, because God has put that inside of my heart, and I'm going to make it happen. No matter what, I'm going to figure it out. And that's the difference between people that get the life they want and people who get stuck in, not in a bad way. Like, listen, everybody's got to make money, but get stuck in the 9 to 5 that they hate. The
I
job
tell people
we go.
you're either gonna like, and like you and me, but it's like, I'm no shining example, man. Like I'm just a man. Like I've got my flaws. I'm grateful to be able to sit here and talk to you from this place. Um, but you are either going to take a chance and risk it all on yourself to live out your dream, or you're going to spend the rest of your life living and working for someone else who is living their dream. Because at the end of the day, you could say it and you'd be like, oh, well, I just work at Wendy's. Wendy's was somebody's dream
That's right.
that they turned into a multinational corporation, a $1 billion industry. You're like, I just work at, the local hardware store. That was someone's dream. I work at a car wash. That was someone's dream,
Hmm.
right? You don't have to agree with it. You can even work at a laundromat. That was somebody's dream, their idea to make money. You're a landscaper. Someone owns that business. They took a chance on themselves. So you're either going to be the employer or the employee. There really is no in between. There
Yeah.
really is no in between.
Yeah, and listen, there's nothing wrong with building somebody else's dream if you believe in the same dream and they empower you and the leadership's correct. Don't get me wrong. But
No,
also it's like betting on yourself. Like earlier, you talking about like, what do you mean you're going to go open that restaurant in that dying shopping center? And I remember when I graduated West Virginia and I got into automotive and I went to go work at the Audi dealership in Bridgewater, and I had people saying to me, "Oh, you went and got a bachelor's degree just to go sell cars?" Like, okay, yeah, I did because I had a bigger vision to work for Audi of America, but like I had to
Right.
take that first step and do something that didn't even require a degree at all
Yeah.
in order to move forward, and that led me to my entrepreneurial journey.
Right.
But outside of that, man, like just getting back to like the restaurant also, I'm just curious, um, what what made you decide on live free, eat tacos? Like, where did that come from?
Um, well, I think a lot of so I'm also a smart ass, right? So like I also like I take unequivocal shots at everybody. Right. So when everything happened with the police and then the articles came out and everybody's like, oh, this guy's dangerous, he's domestic terrorist, which is a great name to have on your resume.
Right.
I sarcastically before anybody tries to clip that.
Yeah.
Uh, the name calling, it gets hard, right? So I've learned, like, because I always grew up, I was always been a little chubby, right? I've always had my over whatever. But like if I allow, like, if Ron, and I know you're my friend, you wouldn't do that. But if you were like, Dave, you're a fat ass. And if that hurt me, I know you would never do that. But if I allowed your words to hurt me, then it has power. If before you called me a fat ass, I was like, "Yo, Ron, today I'm extra fluffy. I'm a fat son of a gun." You wouldn't that wouldn't be an you wouldn't have
My
that. I mean,
the power away.
I took the power away. So I opened a restaurant in the town that did try to make sure I was buried and couldn't do anything. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I am all those things. I'm going to open a restaurant. I'm going to call it the Outlaws Taco. That's what Bandoleros means. It means the outlaw. So it was like a double down. And, I got knocked for being, a conservative in my belief and, being pro America. Right. And, you have the live free or die, the join or die, like this that son of, the founding fathers. Right. So it kind of was a way of like, I love that motto. It was like join or die or live free or die. And it was like,
Right.
that's aggressive. And it's not like, for the restaurant. So it was like, these are the things I love. Like, you know what? For the rest of my life, I want to be able to live free and I want to be able to eat tacos. Like, I love tacos and I love freedom. And, it does have a bigger meaning. Like, just having this across my chest plate, living free is I'm living free from fear of what people think about my past and my journey and my ups and downs. I'm living free from that slave of 9 to 5 and working in a business where I just felt like another number. I'm living free from my own demons, from drug addiction. I'm living free from my own fear of, not being able to be the best version of or being like my dad was, right? And I'm able to live free because I'm helping other people live free and I'm helping other people chase their dreams, right? And the goal is to open another location, another spot, and give guys like Danny and guys like Eric opportunity. Because and when I brought them in, I was like, you guys don't work for me, you work with me. And the goal is going to be, because I can't split myself in half, you're going to go get a piece and then you're going to be a business owner. So it's about empowering other people. That's the true definition. And I know in America, we talk about, we have all these freedoms. It's an illusion. We live in a system that has a bunch of laws and regulations that as long as you operate within, you're free, right? So the only true way to feel like you have any sort of freedom is to be able to have that independence. And to my point we were making earlier, I'm not knocking anybody that is not entrepreneurial,
That's
right?
right.
Because this is not for everybody. This is hard, right? And especially this business. I can't tell you over the last 10 years, the amount of birthdays, weddings, parties, holidays, friend get-togethers that I have missed, that I have had to put on the side, that I have lost out on for this pursuit of where we are today. It's not for everybody. So if you don't see yourself as like, I'm going to go and chase that and open it up another business, and you do want to just work at a paint company, then be the best damn employee at that paint company, right?
That's
If
right.
you just want to cut grass for the guy that has the landscaping business, be the best damn lawnmower you can be. If your dream isn't to open a car dealership, but you like selling cars, be the best damn car seller. I know guys that were there for 20 years when I started, and they're still there.
Yeah.
They're still selling cars. You know why? Because they're the best. As soon as they walk in, they can profile you. They know exactly what kind of car you're looking for. They know exactly how to spit game to you to get you where they need you to be, right?
They know how
So
to understand the people coming in through the door because they've done it so many times, the repetition of
it's it's nothing, right? Like I can do it the same way with people when they walk in to eat. I know
yeah.
exactly how to speak. I know exactly the words I need to say to put you where I need to put you
Mhm.
and for you to feel comfortable, right?
Yeah. It's just a deeper understanding, man, and, like, whatever it is in terms of goals that people wanna get, whether it's entrepreneurship or athletics or spirituality, and money just in general, like, again, just go out and strive to be the best, and I hope people listening to this today, definitely get that out of your messaging, Dave, because no matter what, like, ever since I've known you, I've always seen that in you of like, I want to be great at everything that I do. And I know that you put your best foot forward, even when the things didn't work out. You're like, well, I'm doing it. I'm going all in. Some people tip their toe in. You've always deep dived and just gone right into it and gone all the way and just said, listen, if it fails, then it just wasn't meant to be. And even when you didn't maybe recognize that at times in your life, right? Where it was just like, things just failed and you might have been down on yourself, but you never gave up and you just kept going. And for that reason, like, again, that's why you're here today with Los Bandoleros, the outlaw. Like, that makes perfect sense. Again, you're just delivering an incredible amount of value with what you do every day through the food that you make for the community, as well as the people that you serve internally. And I'm just curious, like, just going from the food standpoint, because I want people to hear about it. You did an interview not that long ago with a company called Patch, and they described Los Bandoleros as a modern Mexican spot with the barbecue twist. So was that always your vision? And what were you trying to bring, I guess, to the East Brunswick community that didn't exist yet? I know a little bit about it, but just share with the audience.
Yeah. I mean, I always loved, I'm Cuban and Italian, so I'm not Mexican. People ask me all the time, they're like, you Mexican? I'm like, I'm 6'2", 270. I'm a big Mexican,
I'd be
you
a big
know,
Mexican than
yeah,
any
big
religious
Mexican.
size
Yeah.
Mexican.
I was in Mexico like 6 months ago, and I could tell you everybody looked at me like I was Andre the Giant out there. Um, but no, I've always loved Spanish cuisine. And I love Mexican food because I believe it has so much versatility with the fresh ingredients. And let's be honest, like tortillas are awesome. And you could pretty much put almost anything inside a tortilla and it'd be good. Like I've seen, like I follow this one page I saw the other day. They took like the big tortilla and they put like the hamburger meat on it and they cooked it face down and they made basically like a burger quesadilla. And it's like you just took American and married it to Mexican and it's awesome, right? I have been to places that have done like ahi tuna tacos, right? And taken
Yeah.
Asian cuisine and turned it into Mexican cuisine. I have seen Italian style where they've turned a chicken cutlet into a tortilla and filled it with penne vodka and made it Italian. So I just kind of loved the versatility of Mexican food, of tacos specifically. But I didn't want to be just another taco spot. I didn't want to be just another yeah, we serve picadillo tacos and chicken
Yeah.
tacos. Come get what you want and get out of here. Um, and I kind of like during the process, it's actually crazy because I had no intention of being a barbecue spot whatsoever. Because I wrote the menu at the other place I was working at. I was going to kind of copy and paste, add a little bit of stuff. And I remember during the building, I got into watching this show on Netflix called Backyard Barbecue Showdown.
Hmm.
And it was the just like regular everyday Americans competing and it was the first time I've ever really saw someone smoke a brisket or
Yeah.
smoke a pork butt or do ribs. Like I've eaten it before, but I like seeing the process. And because I am a student of the game, right? Just like you are when you watch boxing or you watch anything, like this is my craft. Like I love cooking shows. I love things like that. Um, um, I I fell in love with watching this show and the process of making briskets and doing all this stuff. And it really like became like so before I ever even opened the restaurant, I put on the menu that we were gonna do brisket taco. And I had never smoked a brisket in my life. Never. But I watched this show like it was 4 seasons and I binged watched and drove to Home Depot and bought a smoker and went home, went to Restaurant Depot and bought 2 briskets. And I went home and I made my first brisket and it was terrible. It was so bad. It took me like 26 hours to cook. It was still tough. Like it was edible, but like I wouldn't have served it to anybody other than my small circle.
Right.
then it became similar to my life. I was like, okay, this wasn't good. How do we get better? And it became like a passion of like, all right, I'd wake up in the morning, I'd throw a brisket on the smoker, I would come here, I'd work on the business, I'd monitor the brisket, and I'd just practice and practice and practice till like, so when we opened, I had really only been using a smoker for like 3 months, 4 months. To now we go through about 10 briskets a week. And that's just one item, just one. And these are 15-pound briskets. So you figure we're going through about 150 pounds of brisket a week, and a place that's only open 5 days a week, and it's only open 40 hours a week at most.
Incredible.
So, for that, just for that perspective, and it became our number two every week. It switches between our birria tacos and our brisket tacos. Like they fluctuate. To where now we've elevated. We have the smokers on site now, and we're doing the cubano, the pork for that on the smoker. We're doing the pork tacos. The pork we put there goes on the smoker. We're even working on putting the chicken wings on the smoker, trying all these different things. But yeah, it kind of became like it was a risk. Like I'm gonna open a whole restaurant with a menu that half of it I haven't made before. So it really was a gamble and an experiment, and it really showed like the drive to like create and be better because like every other Mexican restaurant here, and I'm not knocking them. It
No.
is a very simple, it's a very Mexican menu. It's very like, and I love traditional Mexican food, don't get me wrong, but traditional Mexican food is plain. And I
Mhm.
don't mean that it's in a bad way, but
No, it's not
usually
flavorful.
they focus on the fresh tortilla and they focus on the toppings that go on it, right? Every taco is loaded up with cilantro and onions, and you get a bunch of salsa and lime wedges, and you can doctor it up however you want. And you eat it, and they're great. I wanted to focus on the things that were between the tortilla and between the topping, and I was like, I want to make the meat the story where you could just eat it by itself, and all the other toppings are extra,
Extra.
and they're great. And I'm grateful that it panned out and it's been successful. But yes, and living in East Brunswick, growing up here, the food choices are slim. It's a
Yeah.
lot of fast food. There's a lot of chain restaurants. Don't get me wrong, because I know there's somebody that'll be like, there's this place, and they'll name some obscure mom and pop. And I get it. There are mom and pop places, but for perspective, East Brunswick has a growing population of over 50 something thousand people. So for you to say that we have a handful of mom and pop places, there's room for us to grow. You go to a town like Metuchen and go on their main street, and it's all mom and pop. It's all
Right.
family-owned businesses. It's all local. There's no box restaurant. It's all like little places and cafes and Greek restaurants and this and that and Thai food and whatever. East Brunswick does not have that kind of community. So for me, it was easy one because I knew tons of people from living here, right? I
Yeah.
can't, you know, friends we went to high school with ordering Super Bowl catering and coming out here and doing catering for their kids' graduations and birthday parties. And so
Right.
I had a connection to the community, both through the people. I had an emotional connection because it's my hometown. And also just knew that this town has been screaming for good food forever.
Yeah.
So it seemed like a home run. Yeah, it was risky, but I felt like it was worth the gamble.
It 100% is, man. And, again, like you were at certain points, you were willing to be bad so you could be great. And I think that that's one thing that another thing the audience can pull out of this too is like, you got to be willing to be bad first. Like, you even think about when, you and I, when I first started working with you with boxing, like there was things that you didn't know. And as we continued to work together, you developed yourself, into a pretty decent boxer by the time we were, towards the end of it. So, again, like you have to be willing to be bad first. And Dave, I commend you so much just on also the vulnerability and the willingness to share your story because anybody listening to this is going to be able to pull a lot of really great insights that will be valuable to their journey if they're overcoming challenges and obstacles. And just as we're like getting ready to close out here, I want to be respectful to your time, and you've been gracious enough to share this time with me. What do you hope your restaurant and your journey really represents to maybe that kid in town who feels stuck, doesn't see a path kind of like you did at the time when you were younger?
I would just say, and I tell this to myself, I would tell this to anybody watching, that the only person standing in your way in your journey of life is yourself. You can blame mom and dad and the girlfriend and the job or the employer. You could blame whoever it is you feel like you need to blame to make yourself feel better about where you are in life. if you're feeling stuck, being stuck is good. It's a good time because you don't got anything to do. So you could think and you can plot and you can plan and you can navigate and grow. So I believe if you're stuck, it's a great place to be. I get stuck here even now, and I think it's a great place to be. I think perspective is a big thing, right? How do you look at your glass? Is it half full? Is it half empty? I think that you can look at like bad things as like, oh my God, or you can look at them like, thank you, God. Thank you. Because I wasn't seeing something. You saw something I didn't see, and you put this here for me to move. So if you're stuck, it's a good place to be. If you feel like you can't do it, that's a you thing. I think if you're scared to try, good, because fear means you care, right? If you don't have emotion, if you don't have fears, then you didn't really care, and then maybe you shouldn't do it. Maybe you should hold off.
Mhm.
But just go for it. Like the way I look at it, and when we talk about like I've done the music and I've done this, I've done that. When I'm in my 60s and 70s and my later years of life, and I'm winding down, and I get to look back on my time here that God allowed me to spend here, I'll smile and I'll be like, there wasn't a thing that I didn't have a inkling for or a passion for that I was afraid to try, whether it was boxing or MMA or cooking or selling cars or working on cars or building homes or talking to that person or striking up that conversation or going after that thing that I love. Like I took my shot. And, and I know you probably heard this quote, they talked to Thomas Edison and about the 10,000 attempts it took him to make a light bulb. And they asked him, they said, well, what did you learn, in your 10,000 failures with making a light bulb? He goes, I didn't fail. He goes, I just learned 10,000 ways to not make a light bulb.
Right.
So perspective of if you failed, maybe it needed to happen. If that relationship didn't work out, maybe it needed to happen. If that door closed, maybe it needed to happen. Life is about perspective, and I still struggle with it too. I've had days where I sit here, man, and I'm down on myself, or I'm beating myself up for the things that I didn't get done or where I fell short, and that's a me thing. I can't blame anybody other than me. My perspective is based solely on where I sit, and that goes for you, and that goes for anybody else that watches. So if maybe your perspective needs a little adjustment, and I would ask that people become willing. People pray for patience a lot. I used to, and I believe that when you pray for patience, God gives you plenty of scenarios for you to be patient. Are you willing to be patient? So I ask that you would pray and ask God for willingness, willingness to endure the bad times, willingness to take the chance, willingness to go after that dream or to chase that goal.
I like what you said about fear means you care, and I would also equate willingness with courage. Just the ability to, while you're scared, to continue to move forward. And I think that's such a great message, Dave. And then I just have one last question for you as we wrap up here that I ask every guest at the end of the episode. And it's really a finish this sentence, kind of like a school fill in the blank. But the world needs more people who.
Love without condition.
I love that.
Yeah, I know. I think a lot of people struggle, right? I love you, Ron, not because you do anything for me or because you put me on your show or you train me about. I love you because of who you are, and I would do for you without needing you to do for me, and that's unconditional. And I know
Amen.
you would do the same thing. I know, and I'll close it like, but I would feel remiss if I didn't mention, like, I didn't grow up with a dad, but I was blessed to have father figures, right? I had my neighbor Mike. I was blessed to have Ron Sr., right? And everybody in my life knows Ron Sr. I look at him like a dad. I looked at my neighbor Mike, who passed away a few months ago, like a dad. I looked at the men, like God didn't give me a good biological dad, but he gave me amazing father figures, right? So, and again, your dad loved me unconditional but I did nothing for him other than be me, right? And so the world needs people to love people without needing reciprocation,
I love that, Dave. Thank you so much, man, because I think everything that you said today is going to really hit home with everybody listening. And just so everybody knows, where can they find you? Of course, tell me about, of course, Los
Yeah.
Bandoleros is
So
located in Brunswick, but how can people connect with you as well?
So yeah, we are in East Brunswick. You can follow us on Instagram. It's just Los Bandoleros Tacos, one word. Our website is it's no www. It's just livefreeeattacos.com. And you can come check us out. We are closed Sundays and Mondays because we are a family business. We don't do that stuff. And we are open for dinner primarily during the week and only on lunch on Saturdays. So we would love for anybody to come check us out. If you do, if you saw us off the video, please let us know that that you're a friend of Ron's and come check us out. We'll take care of you.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank
Thank
you
you,
for
brother.
all your insights today. This has been another incredible episode of Great American Underdog, where you can find the courage to act, the resilience to keep going, and the discipline when motivation fades. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.